It's been about a month. That means it's time for a review update, and this time we are covering the Black Mountain resistance bands. So let's get right into it. To start off, I bought these resistance bands back on July 12th of 2020. The price at that time for these bands was $34.94 after Texas taxes. The resistance bands come with a few things. You get 5 different colored resistance bands, 2 foam grip handles, 2 ankle straps, as well as a door stopper and a carrying case that also has instructions on how to use them for your doorway and other exercises. Now, quick note, I thought these were the same as my U-Powix and What If It resistance bands, but I was wrong. They're actually a different resistance overall, a bit less than the U-Powix and the What If It. So just know these are a bit easier to use overall than those pairs of resistance bands. This was a bit of a shock because I did notice right away that especially the yellow one, which feels a little flimsy, and I'll get to that later, is a lot easier than the yellow for the What If It or the U-Powix bands. But that's because, again, it is quite a bit less resistance in the overall band itself. So without waiting around, I'm going to jump right into the pros and cons list. So I always start with the pros first, and coming in on our first one is that these are resistance bands that have a decent carabiner style clipping handles. So if you're familiar with my other reviews on the U-Powix and the What If It, you'll know that I like the standard tube style bands with the carabiners and the handles more than I like the loop bands, and that's no different here. Not to say that each band doesn't have its place, but for my general training, I tend to gravitate more towards the tube style bands. My next pro is that these bands are good for anyone who's at 5'11". So I'm again 5 feet 11 inches tall. I'm hovering around that 6 foot mark. So if you were anyone around maybe I'd say like 5'9" to maybe 6'1" or 6'2", you'll probably be fine with using these bands. Of course, if you're shorter, they're probably fine to use. However, if you're starting to get really tall, like I'd say past like 6'3", 6'4", you might want to look elsewhere as these bands might not be great for you and they could end up snapping. They do have anti-snap technology inside of them, which is fine, but just know when you have really tight bands, you're always risking that actually not being a snap-proof product, and you're also putting yourself at risk of having it snap off of things like doing overhead presses coming out under your feet and slapping you really hard across the back, which has happened to me before. And my next pro is that the ankle straps that come with this are by far the best out of any product I've ever purchased for resistance bands. I don't know why they made the ankle straps so much better than any other product I've had before. Like, they really went above and beyond with this part of the product, where other parts might have faltered. But just know, the ankle straps here, if you're someone who wants to use those, maybe you can even use them as handle straps as well, because you can kind of choose the Velcro for handle straps. They are excellent and by far my favorite, again, of any of the resistance bands I've ever purchased. And my last pro is that these are a pretty cheap product overall, with prices skyrocketing during this current virus. The price of this one's actually quite a bit lower, again at only like $34 or so. So if you're looking for something cheaper, of course this is less resistance, but if you need something cheaper, these may be the best ones for you for right now. So with that, let's jump into my cons list. And my first con is that for being lighter resistance bands, these do feel a lot more flimsy and insecure and not as well put together than the What If It or U-Powix bands. There is a clear difference when I pick them up side by side. When I pick up the U-Powix and the What If It, they feel solid, like the actual tube itself feels solid and secure. Where when I pick up the Black Mountain bands, I feel like I can almost snap them in half myself by just like holding them. They are a bit tougher than that, don't get me wrong, but they just feel way flimsier than the U-Powix or the What If It that I've tested before. Next con is the bag that this comes in. Now, I've covered this a lot in my other reviews, but for some reason they do not like to give you good bags with these resistance bands. Why not give you just a small drawstring bag? Now, the U-Powix and the What If It are close to this. I wish they were a little bigger in size, but why not get like one of those soccer drawstring bags and just put them in there? Like, that's the best thing you could have them in. They fit everything very easily. They're not a giant size, so you can take them in luggage or anything you want. But for some reason, they always like to give you these small, crappy bags with all the resistance bands. The best one I've ever had is actually the Undersun resistance bands. But those bands just snapped on me the other day. If you want to take a look at my review, I did snap one of those bands. So even though those have the best bag, I ended up snapping one. So this one has just a terrible bag, in my opinion, and they really need to look into upgrading it in the future. And my last major con that I have for this one is the door stopper is a joke. Now, I covered this in my initial unboxing and review of this product, that the actual door stopper probably wouldn't even stay in my door, especially on the bottom side of, say, the door to my right, which I know you can't see, but the door would actually, the doorstop would probably just come out from right under it, and then the band would just slap me across the, I don't know, chest, neck, face, one of those areas. If I was doing something like bicep curls, it would just slap across my body, which I've done in the past and don't want to ever do again. If you're going to have a door stopper, make sure that the side that you're pulling towards you is going to actually be stopped in the door. This one, again, just has a little teeny piece of door stopper on it for some reason, making me feel very insecure when using it. So it's not something I recommend. I would actually go out and buy a different door stopper if you're looking to do other exercises. So some experience I've had with the bands themselves. Overall, yes, they are tube style resistance bands, very, very similar to the What If and U-Pouch as I've covered in the rest of this video. They are, again, a bit lighter in general, but that doesn't mean I liked them. For some reason, just every time I used them, I wanted to put them away. They just weren't a product I felt comfortable using. Again, especially with the lighter bands like the yellow band, and I think it's the blue band and green band, they just feel like they're made of nothing. I feel like I can literally just break them apart. And I really, really hate that feeling. Maybe you're someone who hasn't built up a lot of strength in the past, but if you're someone who is into fitness, has been doing this for a while, I would stay clear of these bands and just go for the What If It or U-Pouch bands. Also, with that being said, I might be jumping over into the What If It bands because the U-Pouch bands aren't available really online anywhere. I think they actually moved into the Fitness Insanity bands, but that's just a quick thing I wanted to add into this video. So just know I'll be using those as my primary, not these and not the U-Pouch bands anymore, going with the What If It. So with that, would I buy this product again? And that is an easy no. Yes, they're cheaper, and they're pretty similar to all the other tube style bands I've used. They are lighter, so maybe if you needed to have like easier bands for something, like rehab or something, they could work. But overall, I really, really, really did not like these bands. It was hard to even use them for 2 to 3 weeks because I just wanted to use my other bands so much more. Now, there are a few other bands I've been looking at purchasing and testing out, but I think the What If It bands are a good place to go for me in my current training, especially since they are cheaper than the U-Pouch bands, and they have, again, done very, very, very well for me, and I feel like those are going to be what I'm using moving forward. So that's it for this review. Not a great one overall, but I just wanted to be transparent and go over what I think about these bands because I don't want you buying something I don't approve of. If you did like this review, please like and subscribe to GamerBody for more videos just like this one. Also, make sure you head over to GamerBody.com. There you can check out my current training program, the equipment I own and use, and the resources I'm learning from to build muscle, burn body fat, and gain confidence, all from the comfort of home. That's it. So again, like, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Be fit and game on.